Hi students, in the last class we discussed about the DNA and composition of the DNA, right? And we discussed about different types of DNAs. Within that case, we discussed about the aDNA, bDNA, cDNA and zDNA. See, all these DNAs are classified based on the helix, type of helix, right-handed helix or left-handed helix. And next one, each helix contains number of base pairs, right? And next one, based on the diameter, So between the two strands, whatever the distance is present, that is the diameter. So based on all these parameters, the DNA classified into different types. So what I'm telling here, different types of DNA we have. Now in all these DNAs, now we are discussing about the most existing DNA. The most existing DNA is the bDNA. Most of the cell, majority of the cells contains that. The DNA is the bDNA. So here we are discussing about bDNA. So within that case, DNA structure. So here we are discussing about the bDNA. Before going to this one, we have to discuss about the history of the DNA. See, the DNA first identified by the Frederick Miescher. We already discussed Frederick Miescher. First discovered the DNA. Right? The DNA term coined by Jackaris. Scientist name is the Jackaris. DNA, the term coined by the Jackaris. Later, DNA structure identification process. See, different scientists are there. First one is Wilkins and Franklin. Structural studies of DNA. They did structural study of DNA. See, especially both the scientists use X-ray crystallography technique. By the usage of that technique, they did the research on DNA structure. And all we know, the double helical structure is proposed by the Watson and Crick. The DNA double helical structure proposed by the Watson and Crick. Right? So that is about the history of the DNA. And coming to the next one, see the characteristic features of the DNA, especially here bDNA. DNA consists two polypeptide chains. Polynucleotide chains. DNA contains two polynucleotide chains. We know that nucleotide, there is a nitrogen base, ribose sugar, phosphate, that is called as nucleotide. Especially many number of deoxyribonucleotides are connected one to another and finally forms that large molecular structure. So here there is two polynucleotide chains. These are associated. So the DNA is the double helical structure. So here the DNA consists of two polynucleotide chains. DNA especially contains deoxyribonucleotides, right? And main bond is the phosphodiester bond. All we know within DNA, the bonds here, there is a ribose sugar is there. This is the ribose sugar is there, right? This is the first position. This is the nitrogen base. This is the third position. This is the second position. This is the fourth position and this is the fifth position, right? This is the fifth position. So what I am telling here, the first position, the first carbon atom of the deoxyribose sugar, the first position of the deoxyribose sugar, right? The first carbon atom interact with that nitrogen base. Between these two, the linkage is the glycosidic linkage. Between nitrogen base, deoxyribose sugar, the bond is glycosidic bond. Especially this is called as N-glycosidic bond, right? Again, here there is in CH2 at fifth positions. At fifth position there is in CH2 which is there. This one is interact with the phosphate molecule. This phosphate interact with another nucleotide. The bond is called as phosphodiester bond. Right? So here the main bond is the phosphodiester bond. And chains are always running anti-parallelly. For suppose here there is in 5 prime. One of the DNA, one strand. This is the DNA one strand. This is one started with 5 prime. This one started with 5 prime. Another side, other side, and with 3 prime. Again, here another strand is there. This one is 5 prime, this one is 3 prime, and this one is 3 prime, this one is 5 prime. So always the two strands of DNA running anti-parallelly. See, one is 5 prime, starting point is 5 prime, other strand starting point is 3 prime. So always here strands are existing or running anti-parallelly, right? Both strands are having complementary base pairs. So within DNA there is an adenine, guanine, both these are purines. Adenine, guanines are purines, we know. And within DNA there is an thymine, cytosine, uracil. These are pyrimidines. So within DNA, two types of components are there. Purines are there, pyrimidines are there. Purines, right? Adenine, guanine. Pyrimidines, thymine, cytosine, uracil. But remember, uracil always present in RNA. Uracil is absent in DNA. Within DNA, thymine is there, cytosine is there. And we know always purine interact with the pyrimidine. Adenine interact with the thymine. Guanine interact with the cytosine. Adenine interact with the thymine. Guanine interact with the cytosine. And between these two, between purine and the pyrimidine, for suppose, between adenine and thymine, 2 hydrogen bonds are present. Between guanine and cytosine, 3 hydrogen bonds are present. So what I am telling here, see the double helical structure of the DNA stabilized by the hydrogen bonds. Double helical structure of the DNA stabilized by the hydrogen bonds. Hydrogen bonds are always formed between purine and the pyrimidine. Between adenine and thymine, 2 hydrogen bonds are formed. Between guanine and cytosine, 3 hydrogen bonds are formed. Right? So that is about the interaction between purine and the pyrimidine. Right? Length of one helix is 34 angstroms. Length of one helix of DNA, that is 34 angstroms. This is also called 3.4 nanometers. So for suppose this is the starting point of one helix and this is the ending point of one helix. Okay, same helix. This is the starting point of one helix and this is the ending point of the same helix. So what I am telling here to here, the distance is 3.4 nanometers. This is also called 34 angstroms. So one helix length, 34 angstroms. And each helix contains, in BDNA, each helix contains 10 base pairs. The helix is also called pitch. This is called one turn. This is also called one helix. This is also called one pitch. So each pitch or each helix contain the number of base pairs are 10 base pairs. Right? And gap between successive base pairs. For suppose one helix, this is the one helix, right? One helix contains 10 base pairs. So this is the first base pair, this is the second base pair, this is the third, this is the fourth. So between these two, this is the gap. Between these two base pairs, this is the gap. The gap is here 34 angstroms. This is also called 0.34 nanometers. 0.34 nanometers. So here between these two or between the base pairs, right? The successive base pairs, the distance is 3.4 angstroms. This is also called 0.34 nanometers. And right hand helix, we know that always DNA forms that clockwise, the helix are formed in clockwise direction. These are right-handed helix. Length between two strands. This is the strand and this is another strand. Between these two strands, this is the length. The length is the 20 angstroms. Between two strands, the length is 20 angstroms. Right? And length of hydrogen bonds, 2.8 to 3 angstroms. Length of hydrogen bonds here 2.8 to 3 angstroms. And angle of each helix, for suppose this is one helix, I said here this is one helix. Each helix angle is 360 degrees. Right? And each base pair angle is 36. Very simple. Total angle is 360 degrees, right? and each helic contain number of base pairs are 10. So each base pair each base pair angle is 36 degrees. Each base pair angle is 36 degrees, right? So these are the some characteristic features of the DNA. Here we are discussing about the vDNA. And all of you remember there is a Chargaff rule is there. Chargaff rule is there. We know about the Chargaff rule because we already discussed in the first year biomolecules chapter. Here Chargaff rule is nothing but purines. Okay, purines always equals to pyrimidines. Purines always equals to pyrimidines. For suppose one strand contains 10 purines, other strand definitely contains 10 pyrimidines. So this is Chargaff rule. Purines, the number of purines are equals to number of pyrimidines. So here A plus G, adenine, guanine, purines, equals to thymine, cytosine. Thymine and cytosine. Right? A plus G divided by T plus C, purines divided by pyrimidines, equals to 1. Equals to 1. Because always purines are equals to pyrimidines. Purines are equals to pyrimidines. So Chargaff rule, according to the Chargaff rule, purines divided by pyrimidines, that is equals to the 1. Right? So that is about some characteristic features of the DNA. Right? We'll discuss about remaining characters also now. Coming to the next characteristic features of DNA, the very first point here, the denaturation of the DNA. Students, the stabilization of any structure always maintained by the favorable conditions. For suppose here DNA structure is there. If the DNA existing conditions are suitable, then DNA maintains the double helical structure. If the DNA surrounding conditions are not favorable, for suppose if temperature increased, hydrogen bonds are cleaved. If pH is increased or if pH is decreased, right, the hydrogen bonds are cleaved. So what I am telling here, denaturation of DNA done by maybe the high temperature, normally up to below 80 degrees centigrade, double helical structure of the DNA is maintained. Once the DNA, okay, at 90 degrees centigrade, 80 to 90 degrees centigrade, the double helical structure, 80 to 90 degrees centigrade, the double helical structure of DNA means the two strands of DNA separated, the two strands are separated because cleavage of hydrogen bonds, because high temperature, 80 to 90 degrees centigrade. Same like pH increase or pH decrease, right? So what I am telling here, denaturation of DNA is nothing but separation of two strands of the DNA. Maybe the pH is the factor, maybe the temperature is the factor, right? And hypochromic effect and hyperchromic effect. First one is hypo. Hypo indicates here decrease. Hypo indicates here decrease. See, decrease absorbency of UV light. Decrease absorbency of UV light. Sir, why we are studying about hypochromic effect? What is hypochromic effect? So suppose for the DNA estimation, we are using one instrument. Name of the instrument is spectrophotometer. Spectrophotometer. Name of the instrument is spectrophotometer. This is the instrument. For suppose this is the instrument. This is the box. The box is the instrument, right? Here, this is one of the test tube. The test tube we are inserted within the instrument. The test tube contains the solution. The solution contains the DNA. For suppose here there is a UV light source is there. If we pass the UV light through the double stranded DNA solution, this is the double stranded DNA solution. If we pass the UV light through the double stranded DNA solution, so here decrease the absorption of the UV light. Because once the DNA forms the double helical structure, the nitrogen bases are not exposed to the UV rays. So minimum amount of light is absorbed. The double helical DNA absorbs the minimum amount of UV light. So if the DNA absorbs minimum amount of the light, so that is nothing but decrease in the absorbency. Okay, the effect is called as hypochromic effect. hypochromic effect. Hyperchromic effect. This is the separated DNA. This is the separated DNA. If we pass the UV light, right? So in this case, the nitrogen bases are exposed to UV light. More amount of light absorption takes place. More amount of light absorption takes place. So more amount of light absorption takes place. The effect is called as hyperchromic effect. Remember, single stranded DNA causes hyperchromic effect. Double stranded DNA, okay, gives hypochromic effect. So the difference is here the nitrogen bases are exposed to UV light. Here nitrogen bases are completely not exposed to the UV rays or UV light. Right? So what I am telling here, if the absorbance is decreased, hypochromic effect. If absorbance is increased, hyperchromic effect. Right? So that is the difference between hypo and hyperchromic effects. And DNA renaturation. Generally naturally DNA have the renaturation capacity, because always the DNA stands, okay, complementary strand. This is the one strand of the DNA, this is another strand of the DNA. Here adenine, here thymine, here guanine, here cytosine, here guanine, here thymine, here adenine. So always DNA complementary base pairing, okay, complementary base pairing structure, or complementary base pairs are present. Complementary base pairs are present. So if these two strands are separated, okay, during unfavorable conditions, okay, if two strands are separated, for suppose if I maintain here 80 to 90 degrees centigrade, the two strands are separated. If the temperature reaches the 30 degrees centigrade or 40 degrees centigrade, that time again the two strands are rejoined. So the condition is called as DNA renaturation. Right? So that is about DNA renaturation process. C value. A cell contain total genome content is called as C value. Especially haploid set of chromosomes, that is called as that. Some books are given haploid set of chromosomes are called as C value, but majority of the books saying that a cell contain total DNA content. That is called as C value. Right? And autocatalytic effect and heterocatalytic effect. What is autocatalytic effect and what is heterocatalytic effect? Autocatalytic effect. Auto means self. See, suppose synthesis of DNA from DNA. For suppose this is the DNA, and that DNA involved in the synthesis of another strand of or another copy of DNA. So synthesis of DNA from DNA. That is nothing but autocatalytic effect. Heterocatalytic effect. So this is the DNA. This is the double helical structure. This is the DNA. DNA involved in the synthesis of mRNA. So if same molecules are sensitized, autocatalytic effect. Different molecules are sensitized, heterocatalytic effect. Hetero means different. So that is the difference between autocatalytic effect and the heterocatalytic effect. So these are the different parameters of the DNA, and some terms. These are also very important. Some points maybe regarding to the hypochromic effect, regarding to the hyperchromic effect. From these points, some bits also given. Sometimes in the NEET examination, some bits also given. Right. So that is about that. DNA structure and characteristic features of DNA. Coming to the next topic is the packing of DNA. Within packing of DNA, there is an prokaryotic cells are there. We know that prokaryotic cells are there and eukaryotic cells are there. Prokaryotic cells having that less complexity. Eukaryotic cells are having more complexity. Remember, within prokaryotic cells also, some of the bacteria are having that condensation of DNA, but histone proteins are absent within prokaryotic cells. Instead of histone proteins, there is in polyamines are present. Polyamines are supporting for the condensation of genetic material within prokaryotic cells. That is nothing but genophore. The main genetic material is called as genophore. That genophore condensation process, okay, carried out by the polyamine proteins. Polyamine proteins. And coming to the eukaryotic cells, we know that eukaryotic cells, we already studied about that cell cycle. Within cell cycle, there is an S phase is there. Within that S phase, DNA replication takes place. After that, DNA replication process. Within S phase also, histone proteins are synthesized, right? Here, there is after that, there is a condensation of genetic material takes place. That condensation, okay, the basic structure is the nucleosome structure. The basic structure for the condensation is the nucleosome structure. Nucleosome formation requires the histone proteins and the 200 base pairs of the DNA. So for that one, here histone proteins are there. Histone proteins are present in eukaryotic cells. Histone proteins are very important for the condensation or chromosomes formation. Condensation of chromosomes formation. So here histone proteins, these are H1, H2A, H2B, H3 and H4. These are the types of the histone proteins. Octameric histone proteins means 8 proteins, especially involved in the core, nucleosome core formation. Means the main structure. There is an 8 proteins are there. Octameric proteins are there. The 8 proteins are H2A, H2B, H3 and H4. Okay, this is one copy. So here 2 copies. See, there is a 4 into 2. Total proteins are 8. Total proteins are here 8. These 4 proteins are doublets. These 4 proteins are doublets. Totally 8 proteins. Octameric protein structure supporting for the nucleosome formation. So around that octameric core complex or protein structures, 200 base pairs of the DNA. Okay, there is a DNA wrapping. DNA wrapping takes place, right? See, after that DNA wrapping, the pinning process carried out by H1 protein. The pinning process carried out by the H1 protein. So 200 base pairs of DNA and the octameric core complex and H1 protein. All these are supporting for the nucleosome formation. So here nucleosome, the measurement is 11 nanometers. One nucleosome measurement is the 11 nanometers. So again the next step is, suppose this is the nucleosome and this is the DNA, right? So like that, here there is a DNA like this, DNA, 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 right? Here totally 6 nucleosomes are formed. Totally here 6 nucleosomes are present, right? These 6 nucleosomes are again, okay, the total 6 nucleosomes are forms the solenoid structure. The 6 nucleosomes are forms the solenoid structure. The basic structure is nucleosomes. 6 nucleosomes are combined, forms the solenoid. A group of solenoids are combined, forms the super solenoid. So nucleosome, the measurement is 11 nanometers, and solenoid, the measurement is 30 nanometers, and the super solenoid, the measurement is 300 nanometers. Right? So a group of super solenoids are combined, forms the scaffold structures. Again the scaffolds are combined, forms the chromatid structures. The chromatid measurement is here 700 nanometers. 700 nanometers. And 2 chromatids are combined, forms the chromosome. The chromatids are joined by that centromere, finally forms that chromosome. Chromosome measurement here, okay, 1400 nanometers. 1400 nanometers. So this is the packing of DNA. Okay, in a cell we know about there is in 2 types of DNAs are there. There is in euchromatin part is there, heterochromatin part is there. Euchromatin, I already said the functional part of the DNA is called as euchromatin. For suppose within that nucleus, this is the nucleus, there is an, okay, DNA, this is the DNA, right, arrangement of the DNA. Right, this is the free state of the DNA. This is the free state of the DNA. So at some regions, tightly packed DNA is present. Tightly packed, or tightly arranged DNA is present. This is called as heterochromatin. This is called as heterochromatin. At some regions, loosely packed DNA is present. Some regions, loosely packed DNA is present. This is called as euchromatin. This is called as euchromatin. So always functional part of the DNA is the euchromatin. Functional part of the DNA is the euchromatin, right? See, heterochromatin is generally non-functional because heterochromatin not involved in the gene expression process. Right? That is about the packing of DNA. That is about the packing of DNA, right?